I always try to ask my guests, best day of your life and worst day of your life, because it kind of tells me a little bit about you.
I don't think in those terms. But, life is a journey and it has to have the ups and downs. And without the downs, you don't realize how good the ups are. And so I kind of forget bad things that happen to me, but I do appreciate the good things when they do. So for me, it's moments in time, and you just know them when you're living them. And it doesn't have to be a big thing. It doesn't have to be your wedding day, although that was just one of those amazing moments. But it also could be when you're just out for a walk and just suddenly everything suddenly feels alive. Those little magic moments. So I don't have those days. And I think if you think in those terms, a lot of people will look back to the past. Well, that's when that's when I did. No. The world is in front of you. These are just your collection of experiences that you bring with you that make you the person you are.
Yeah. Incredible way of looking at life. I always wrap up with a few questions at the end. And I've been asking these for about 10 years. If you could pick up a phone and ring up that 20-year-old Raoul, I guess you're at Plymouth, you're failing out, not showing up to school, you're about to get your act together. If you could give that young man some advice, what would you tell him, and would he listen?
I wouldn't tell him anything different. I wouldn't. I've had, with all the ups and downs, an incredible journey. And hell, life is a journey. And you should be slightly battered and bruised at the end of it. And no, I'd say go for it.
Yeah, what's that line?
Do what you want.
What's the line from Fight Club? I don't want to die without any scars. I think that's what Brad Pitt says. Best advice you ever received? It could have come from your dad or from a mentor, or you don't seem like a guy that does the mentor thing too much, or from a guest. Or is there anything that came in your mind?
Yeah, there's a classic example. It was that 1990 period when I was now out of a job, out of university and no job, and it was my father's birthday, which is actually today. And I was speaking to a friend of his at one of these parties that I was always expected to attend. And the guy said, "So Raoul, what are you going to do now you've graduated?" I said, "Well, I'm thinking between marketing, because that's what Dad was in, or finance." He's like, "Really interesting." He goes, "Let me give you a little piece of advice." I said, "Sure, great, thanks." He said, Mars, they're an incredible marketing company, fast-moving consumer goods. It's amazing. You go and work there for a few years, you can work anywhere. But the best thing about Mars is you get free Mars bars. He said, but if you go and work for a bank, you get free money. And I'm like, yeah, that's a good choice. Because basically you're going into work every day, trying to use your brain power, work hard, do the best you can. Why not go to the place that pays you the best? These weren't passion things. Like, I'm not an artist, a struggling musician. This is, I want to be involved in commerce and business and have a career. So that piece of advice, that was bloody priceless.
It's beautiful advice. And yeah, I actually majored in mechanical engineering. I worked at Ford Motor Company and then a company called the Aerospace Corporation. But once I had a whiff of finance, I had the same realization you did. I said, wow, this is where the action is. This is where people are getting paid for decisions. And then I completely went the other way.
And you know what it's like when you're in a dealing room, and people don't know this. The speed at which everybody thinks, talks, and acts is ridiculous, which is why many of us have moved over to crypto. Because, people don't understand. I had 42 telephone lines in front of me. I was a salesman at Goldman. 42 telephone lines with Tiger, Soros, Tudor, all the biggest hedge funds in the world, all screaming and shouting, plus a squawk box from the CME with the futures pit, a squawk box from the life pit, all of this stuff, hearing what the FX guys are doing. Across the floor, I've got like a meter of space at my desk, and there's 1,000 of us, and it's immensely noisy, and everything is happening. You've got 2 telephones on at the same time, and still listening to 3 conversations, and trying to talk at the same time, and finish everybody's conversations because you haven't got time, which is an irritating thing finance people do, is finish everybody's conversations because you don't have the time. That is incredibly exciting, exhausting, but exciting.